Hi everybody, it's me, Madam Onça, and this is Totally Tea and Tarot. Welcome back. We are working our way through the fives, which if you are a person who does weekly study of the tarot, I apologize. The weekly study through the fives is a month of difficulty, kind of like the study of the swords in general. Anyway, so fives are tricky. They do describe a time of tumult, and again, as I mentioned previously last week, my teacher, Kate Nordstrom, her teacher, described them as cards of chaos. Whatever norm you thought you had established, all bets are off. It's kind of like the surge of hormones traveling through your previously reasonable teenager. They're not terrible people. They're just going through upheaval. And that's what's happening with these otherwise previously sensible cards. Now, the tea of the week is turmeric tea. Or the herb, as it were. It does not make the best tea, I have to say. It's really good in food. It's really great as a supplement. On its own, it's a little, it's fine. It's just, my mom accidentally replaced cinnamon in an apple pie one time with turmeric, and all the pies came out quite tasty, but they tasted like apple curry, and they were fluorescent orange. So this reminds me of that. Oh, the stories I could tell about turmeric. But for those of us who are inclined to inflammatory issues, of course, turmeric is all the rage these days. I first heard about its properties in Colorado a bunch of years ago because there's a community that's dialed in. And yeah, the only thing is don't let it go through your laundry. It'll dye everything bright orange. But it's really great for dealing with any kind of inflammation. And to a certain extent also helps reinforce your body against infection and that sort of thing. So yay, turmeric. I recommend it in capsules or pie rather than tea. But it is a really great herb. It's definitely on Team U. So moving from turmeric to the Five of Wands. Wands, of course, are the element of fire. Probably why the herbal tarot people made that correspondence between something that was like very warm and cleansing and it's adamant of fire. It is, in more esoteric terms, more spiritual terms, it describes creativity, really willpower, and getting things done. Now, when it comes to the Five of Wands, right there, that means you've got conflict or chaos combined with getting stuff done, and that translates into active conflict. This isn't like a little bit of inner turmoil. This is typically conflict with another person, maybe an institution. And I have heard and read also that this is the traditional card of secret societies of men. Not to be genderist, that's just what I was taught. And I will say that while conflict and sort of that puffing up, that amplification of energy can be intimidating, it certainly can be. It can also be very cleansing. It can also lance the wound and get real information out there. So conflict is not intrinsically bad by any means. Do not quail from conflict, but just go into conflict with both your eyes and your peripheral vision open. So this is also the card of competition. And as we know, for folks who are competitively minded, like competitors, competition and the parameters of competition can bring out the very best. It may bring out your best triple axel. It may bring out your very best long jump or your very best whip trick or your very best hot dog eating contest, whatever you're into. So competition for some people is really a call to excel. Other people, may quail from the concept of conflict and really prefer to move through life more collaboratively or individually. You have to come to that one on your own, but does describe a competition both at its healthiest, Darwinism, perhaps, and at its worst, which is really folks breaking each other down in order to enforce their dominance. So let's walk through our three decks that we've got here. We have been working on this round with the Legend of the Arthurian Tarot and the Cosmic Tribe by Steevee Postman and my own deck. So here is our Arthurian deck, which, by the way, is by Anna Marie Ferguson. So in this case, it is the pursuit of Igraine. If you're familiar with the story, Igraine was Uther's wife and Arthur's mother, and everything that sort of goes wrong in the story really starts right there with the part where Uther says, I will do anything in order to have this woman, and he manages to get her husband killed so that she's available, and then Arthur is conceived, like out of wedlock, and then he's stolen. It's very complicated. Anyway, Moral of the story is there is a seed of moral failing, one might say, in here, and that engenders the conflict that really creates the entire myth of the Holy Grail. So, the pursuit of Igraine, it's kind of hard to see there, but you can see stuff is being lobbed at the castle. This is Merlin, I think, up in the front here. It's foreboding in that case. Now, in the, again, the more Thoth, sort of Lady Frida Harris, Aleister Crowley tradition, here's Steevee Postman's. In this case, it's interesting. It doesn't just suggest conflict. It really almost suggests incarceration, like being hemmed in, being unable to meet your desires. That's an interesting treatment. For those of you that haven't seen the back, here's the rather snazzy back of that. It's aged pretty well. It's one of those, it is a sort of early deck of affirmation, you might say, including Photoshop, people of different body types, genders, orientations, etc. So there's Steevee Postman's deck. And then here's mine. We see a couple guys in the street. I know that they're doing makulele, which is Brazilian stick fighting. But really just it's intended to look like a couple guys thrown down in the street. And there's, of course, the cock in the front, you know, all puffed up to illustrate that notion of like, are they really going to hurt each other? Or is it more of a sort of a ritual demonstration of badassery? So when this comes up, this card, whichever deck you're using, it is about conflict, and it's about navigating conflict. Maybe try not to take it super seriously. This should not be the kind of conflict that you navigate in such a way that somebody gets stabbed. This is more of a use your words, be prepared to assert your boundaries, be prepared to learn something and move on. Yeah, so I mean, the wands are all about that sort of, they're about fire, they're about strong feelings. And in this case, hopefully they are about stopping 1 inch short of cracking the other person over the head with your point so hard that, that all sense of perspective is lost. Conflict is legit, competition can be helpful, but you need to make choices about how to act it out and when to rein it in. So, that's our 5 of Wands. If you have any questions or anything, by all means, let me know. I feel like this is one of those sort of blunt instrument cards. It's not that nuanced. And of course, the other thing you hopefully learned today was turmeric. Good for your insides. Don't run it through your laundry unless you love everything being dyed bright orange. You can find me on the internet, and the next card that we're going to do next week, we're going to continue to work our way through the 5s, and we will do probably the 5 of discs, shields, pentacles. Thanks. Bye.